Hello, everyone. Welcome to Breakfast with the Greens. We're your hosts. I'm James Greene.
And I am Cynthia Greene. Good morning, everyone. And we are the founders of Marriage Built to Last, and we are
America's favorite couple. So we want to welcome you to Saturday morning. This is the last Saturday in the month of January. You know, and all month we've been talking about
the purpose-filled couple.
Right. So as we could end this actual series this month today, we ask you to share this out because we're going to be talking more about
the snowball effect.
Right. So go to the bottom of the screen and hit the share button. Or what you could do is you could always start a watch party. People are always interested in what you're watching and how does what you're watching affect your life? How does what you're watching affect your relationship? How does what you're watching affect your marriage?
Nosy is the bottom line.
Because people always want to know what you're watching,
what you're doing,
you know, and what you're looking at, because they actually sometimes take that and incorporate that into their lives. Mm-hmm. So again, you can just go to the bottom of the screen and share it out. Share what you're looking at. Share what you're interested in. Or you can start a watch party so they can watch what you're watching.
There you go. So you guys, James doesn't know this, but I also put in the description that we're going to be sharing our experience on the Family Feud show that we recently had. You're looking at me like you're crazy. But everybody's talking about it. You guys are still posting on our pages, on our events. And so I just wanted to just give some feedback on it. We actually went to Atlanta and taped last September. And so the show aired in February. So that's what? October, November, December, January. 5 months later, it actually aired on television. And so we didn't know until 3 weeks before when it was going to air. But it was a great experience. They flew us to Atlanta. They put us up in a hotel. They gave us money to spend at the hotel. And so we had a great time. If you notice, on the show, well, you probably couldn't tell we were super, super tired because you were in the studio all day long. I don't know how Steve Harvey does it. And he tells jokes during every commercial. I don't know where he gets the energy from, the upbeat from. He must be drinking those energy drinks or something. But his energy level stays up. He tells the audience to keep their energy level up. But it was a really, really good experience. We know we should have won that second show. I know y'all will wonder, we should have won the second show because those answers that they gave were like really, really silly. Who's ever seen a yellow giraffe? Like seriously, right? Nobody's ever seen a yellow giraffe. If anything, they're more orangey. So, but we just wanted to just share with you guys that, you know, we had a lot of fun. We brought home the money on the first day. We should have brought home the money on the second day. Because I'm telling y'all, if my husband had made it to Fast Money for a second day, we would have brought home the money, especially with the questions that they asked that family. So just want to share a little bit about that experience. And so, you guys, it is getting ready to snow in Maryland. I'm so excited. I love the snow. I love it, especially when we get a good amount and you can actually do something in it. So me and my dog, we're going to go outside and play in the snow. I'm going to make some snow angels. I'm going to make some snowballs. And so that's why I came up with the topic today, the snowball effect. Now, how many of you guys have ever heard about the snowball effect? If you've ever heard of it, type in the chat, me. Like I heard about it back in the 80s when my major was psychology, and we talked about the snowball effect in the psychology arena. So why are you so quiet?
I'm letting you go. Family Feud to me is over and it's over.
But yeah, but people still, we weren't able to give any real feedback. We just told them we were going to be on the show. Now we're just sharing a little bit about our experience. So it was a long, tiring time, but we're glad we brought home a little bit of money. But getting back to the snowball effect. So, you know, in psychology, the snowball effect is about when something small, you know how when you make a snowball, you got to get the snow and compact it together into a ball. But if you keep rolling it in the snow, it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. Or if a snowball rolls down a hill, it accumulates more snow and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And so then you have this huge snowball. So the snowball effect in relationships is when you have an issue or concern, or you have a fight or argument, I should say, and it's about something little, but when you don't deal with it, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it snowballs into something big. Right. But we do want to say, on the other hand, a snowball effect can be positive. So you can have an issue that's going on, and you talk about it, and the more you talk about it, the more you have revelations, and the more you get on the same page. And so that what you're talking about, you start to get a big idea, and you find a way to really make it work and overcome that issue. So that's what we're talking about today.
And a lot of times when people hear the snowball effect, it relates to debt normally. Like, you may charge up something, and then you may charge up a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and that's when it creates the snowball effect. Usually it refers to as debt, your debt, how debt gets bigger. Why do you think people go in debt? Why do you think people sometimes have to file for bankruptcy? Because of that snowball effect. But when you look at it as far as your relationship, say as far as communication, it's like, what it is something that's small in significance, and it builds up. It builds up to becoming larger and larger. And then that might be it might get to the point where it's a dangerous situation. Because you think that when you talk about the snowball effect as far as communication, right? You may have a little argument, something that is minor, something that when you look back on it doesn't even matter, something that doesn't even relate to something, something that doesn't even affect your relationship. But once that little argument starts, it's small, it's insignificant, it doesn't even pertain to your relationship, but you hold that grudge. Then the next time that past argument comes up. So now that past argument builds on top of the current argument.
Yeah.
And as you start holding grudges and you start not releasing that, it becomes that snowball effect. It gets bigger. Then you didn't talk about it. So then maybe the third time, or even a small disagreement, something that you could be talking about directions in the car. You're still holding on to those past arguments, and that creates even a bigger argument. And next thing you know, is that snowball effect. Now you're having a full blown out argument to the point where one of the people in the relationship maybe want to walk away.
So you guys, I bet you, if you ask some of the people that you know who was dating someone and they broke up, or even someone who was married and got a divorce, and asked them, why did y'all split up? And they probably couldn't tell you specifically, unless it was something specific, like, drugs or infidelity or something like that. But if it was because they just didn't get along, they'll say, well, irreconcilable differences, or we just didn't get along. But generally, it's because they had this one issue, and then things just kept piling on top of that, like something else they said. When somebody says something that irritates you or makes you angry, every little thing they say starts to irritate you and get on your nerves. And sometimes you get into this mindset to where they just get on your nerves, so you don't want to hear anything they have to say. And so that's when it starts snowballing into something bigger and bigger and bigger, unless you deal with it.
Because what it is it's an action or an event which many other similar events builds onto that. It may not even be the same thing, but it's something similar.
Right.
And if you have one argument about something, and then you have a similar one, it builds on top of that one. That's creating that snowball effect.
Mm-hmm. Right. So just think about this. Say, for instance, I say something to James, and he's like, no, you didn't just say that. So then later on, I say something else smart to him, and he's like, you know what? You already said something crazy earlier today. Now you're talking crazy again. And so then we start arguing. We probably won't even really remember what that other thing was. But then if we start arguing, and then we don't talk for a couple of days, and then something else happens, or he leaves a dirty pot in the sink or something. I'm like, why'd you leave that pot in the sink? You're supposed to wash the dishes behind yourself. Da, da, da. So now every little thing that he does, every little thing that I do, we're nitpicking. We're getting on each other's nerves. We're arguing. We're fussing. We're fighting. Or we're just having a silent treatment, not talking to each other. Right. Things are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and blown out of proportion because we did not deal with that very first issue or concern that came up.
Right.
We didn't talk about it.
And that is the key, because when it's something small, you need to address it right there. Because if you don't, it could create that snowball effect. So that's the best thing, is to address the situation that you're presently in if you have, say, a disagreement.
Yep.
If you have a difference of opinion. Because trust me, everybody's not always going to think the same. Everybody's always going to have a different opinion.
Yep.
But you have to address it. And if you address it in, say, a negative way, all that can do is create hostility to the point where the next time it's just going to build on top of it and create that snowball effect.
And you know what? You know what this makes me think about too? Just think about what happened at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Some people just went there to protest. They just went there to be a part of a movement, a part of supporting Donald Trump. And then some people went there with anger and frustration and was mad, and they just stormed the Capitol.
And let's go there. The ones that were there that were angry, they were angry because I guess they were Trump supporters, and he may have been defeated. So they're angry because
of that. He was defeated.
Okay, so they were angry because of that, right? So then when Donald Trump comes out and talks to them, all he's doing is building up on that anger. He's saying, okay, let's not let that stop us. Let's go down there and do something. So you're already angry. Then here's the person you're supporting comes out and tells you, let's go fight. Let's go show something. Now it's building on top of that anger. And then when you have other people that's in the crowd that are really riled up, it's building on top of that anger, because you got to remember, now that you're already there, now the ones with the bullhorns are saying, we're not going to let this stop us. They're building on top of the anger that Donald Trump already put into them. So you're there. You're angry because your person lost. Now you're more angry because he came out and said, let's do something. Now when you're there, you got the people inciting the crowd with the bullhorn saying, why are we just standing here? Why aren't we doing something? So all that does is builds on top of it. So that's that snowball effect. But let's look at it maybe in a positive way. So we look at a positive way. You say, how can we not, you can have the snowball effect in a positive way. How? Number one, you can be positive. You know,
have a positive attitude.
Let's have a positive attitude.
I always
do. Let's have a conversation on a disagreement and be positive about it. So now, every time you may have a different disagreement or something similar, it will always add on that positivity. And so you'll enter every situation, every disagreement in a positive light.
It makes me think about how James loves to talk about, is the glass half full or half empty? To me, it doesn't even matter if it's half full or half empty. My glass is always full. But some people look at the glass as half empty, which they consider that's negative. But if you look at it as half full, they consider that positive. So which way are you looking at your situations? For me, I always want to have a positive, happy life, and I don't want to sweat the small stuff, as they say. So I want to get along. So I'm always going to try to find a way to turn around something that happens between us to a positive, something positive.
Right. Another thing you could do is
work through it.
Like I always say, be present. Because a lot of times when you're having a difference of opinion or a disagreement or aggressive fellowship, whatever you want to call it, there's times when one party may walk away. They're not present. So all that does is build on top of it, creating that negative snowball effect, because you're walking away from the disagreement. You're walking away from, you're not being positive. You're walking away. What allows the other person to be madder because you're not addressing it. So we always suggest that you be positive. Be willing to talk about it. Be present, like I said, in the moment. Let's address this disagreement that we have. Let's address this negativity that we have, about this situation. Let's address it. Let's be present in the moment.
Right. So when you think about when someone does say something to irritate you, let's talk about some things you can do so that it does not snowball, right? First of all, just take a pause. Just pause and think. When you pause and think, you're really helping to strengthen your brain muscles and brain, I don't want to call it brain thoughts, but that's what came to my head. But take a pause and think about, this person loves me. Are they really trying to hurt me? Or did they just say something that they were just thinking or feeling at the moment? So just take a pause.
Right.
Or another thing you can do is take a deep breath before you respond. just take a deep breath before you respond. You don't always, and also you don't always have to respond to everything somebody says. Lord knows, if I responded to every crazy thing James said, we'd be fussing and fighting all the time.
And that's, I know, a problem I have, because I will always respond.
And also he's always going to make a negative comment if that's what he's really thinking. Like he just says what just stuff just comes out of his mouth. Y'all, when we go places, I have to be like, what if he raises his hand? Wait a minute, what are you getting ready to say?
So there's times when I have what we're talking about that I have to put it into practice. I know for me sometimes I don't. That's why I always say,
let it snowball into.
That's why I always say focus on the positive. Because listen to me, whatever you focus on will snowball into something much larger.
That's right.
Because if you focus on the positive, you know, it'll snowball into more positivity. Right? So you should always focus on the positive, because then when that snowball effect comes into effect, it'll be something much larger, but it'll be positive, much larger, more larger positivity, so to speak. But
also, we have to learn to practice to think more positive. You know, especially if you're in a relationship right now and your spouse has been getting on your nerves and you've been walking around with an attitude, you really need to take some time to think about that whole situation. Like, I'm being real serious right now. I mean, we coach couples and they just feel like, you know, they just need coaching because they just not getting along. They're not communicating. This thing just ain't right. They just aren't happy. But when you really talk to them, something was said or done to make them have an attitude, and they've just never gotten past it. They never said, I'm sorry. They never sat down and talked about that first issue. Definitely didn't talk about the second, third, and fourth, and fifth issue that has come up since then. Well, so one of my suggestions is, if you've really got an attitude with your spouse right now, and it's been going on for a while, sit down and take the time to write down everything you're irritated about. Is it, you know, if it's because they don't help you around the house, they don't help with the kids, they spend up too much money, they talk too much, they watch too much TV, they leave their clothes laying on the floor, whatever it is that's irritating you, write it all down on a piece of paper. And
another way to have a great or positive.
But let me finish that. Because then you want to look at it and say, okay, which one of these things can I really live with? Which ones are really important? And which ones, you know, it's just not a big deal. And if it is a really big deal to you, then take that list and sit down with your spouse and say, okay, this is why I've been having an attitude. This is what's got me pissed off. This is what I'm upset about. Look at all these things that have been irritating me. We need to find a way to fix this. And if you, and just like when we talked to a couple not too long ago, and he was like, well, I didn't know that's what she wanted me to do. She always says she wants me to help, but she never tells me what she wants me to, how she wants me to help. Well, she wanted to help with the kids. She wanted help with, you know, picking up your clothes off the floor. Like, she wanted some help. But if you never tell that person why you're irritated and what you really need help with, they can't help you fix it.
Right.
And it's just going to snowball.
And I'm thinking, and what Cynthia's talking about is great, because when they do that, not getting help, why don't you give them compliments? Why don't you compliment them on, you know, they need help.
Them.
Right. They need help. Look, just because y'all may have been together for a long time doesn't mean your partner doesn't need a compliment every now and then. You know, when they need help, let me trust me. Sometimes they may need help, but if you start complimenting them, they might not even ask for it, because, oh, he really sees what I'm doing. He or she, they really appreciate the things I'm doing for them, the things I'm doing. So compliment them, because just because y'all been together for a long time or been together, period, doesn't mean they don't need compliments. And trust me, them compliments will create that snowball effect of that positivity.
That's right. Because, y'all, I love it when my family says something I cooked was really, really good. Oh, my gosh, when you going to make that again? It makes me want to make it again. It makes me smile. It makes me happy that I fixed something that they really, really, really like. So compliments can go a long way. Right. And also saying thank you. Saying thank you is a big deal for some people, especially if their love language is words of affirmation. You have got to show appreciation to them. You've got to say positive things to
Right.
them. Otherwise, they are going to walk around. And then if they're upset because you're not helping around the house, that their love language is acts of service. They want you to help do something, but you have to tell them
Right.
what exactly you want them to help. People will be like, well, they have to know what I need help with. They see this house is dirty. Yeah, but what part of the dirty house do you want them to clean? I'm sure you don't want them to clean the whole house. Do you want them to be the person that vacuums? That's what my sweetie does. Do you want them to be the one to wash the dishes when you cook? If you got, think about it, how this goes back to when we talk about roles and responsibilities in the relationship, but we don't want to dig deep into that today. But don't have a snowball effect to where a little thing turns into a huge snowball, when you could take that little snowball and watch it dissolve right in front of your eyes.
Right. And the key to all of that is practicing forgiveness.
Oh, wow. That's a good one too. That's it.
Because trust me, in your relationship, you're going to hurt your partner at some point or another, and they're going to hurt you at some point or another. That's why it creates that snowball effect. But if you practice forgiveness, forgiveness is what can actually make that go away. I forget, I'm sorry, saying I'm sorry. I forgive you, please forgive me for not helping. Please forgive me for not doing the things you want me to do. Because trust me, a relationship cannot survive without forgiveness.
That's right. And so you guys, for the snowball effect, you just want to process what has happened and then reset your brain to think a different way. Process what happened, process what they said, process what they did, and think of how you can handle it before you go spewing off at the mouth, before you just go at them, before you just go off. Think about a different response than you normally respond. And I just have to share this with you guys. I remember I used to be this angry black woman. I really was. And I honestly, I had a spiritual experience with God, and it helped to change me. But one thing that I started doing instead of arguing, I started turning on my music. I walk around the house singing, humming, just being positive, upbeat for no reason. And this was with my ex, and he started wondering what is going on with her. Like, what in the world happened? I changed me. I changed my attitude. I changed the way I came across as a negative person. And it really, 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 really worked. It changed the whole atmosphere at my house. I wasn't yelling at my kids all the time anymore. I was just a different person.
Right. And to add on to that, please avoid making assumptions.
Oh,
that
that's
is
so
the key.
good.
Because people always assume what you're going to say, always assume what you're going to do.
That's so true.
So make sure you have clarification first. Make sure everything you're thinking is valid. Because sometimes we make assumptions, and what we're thinking or what we think is going to happen isn't even valid. We're just assuming that's going to happen. We're just assuming that's going to be being said. We don't know.
That's right.
So you should get clarification, because if you avoid making assumptions, that goes a long way in your communication in your relationship. That goes a long way into understanding and verifying your relationship as a whole on where you're going, because you're not assuming where's it going. You're not assuming what's being said. You're getting clarification and you're getting validity on what is actually being said when we talk about communication in a relationship. So if you avoid assumptions, it goes a long way into having a positive relationship.
And y'all, the bottom line is nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. We all say things in a moment of anger or disappointment or hurt or pain. And you just have to work to get it right. That's all it is. You have to work to get it right. So don't let your anger, your situations, your frustrations, your hurt, your pain snowball into something so big that you can't work it out, that you can't figure it out. Work on it right away so that snowball stays small. Y'all, it's getting ready to snow in Maryland. I can't wait to go make some snowballs. I hope James comes outside. I'm gonna have some snowballs ready for him. Although snowball fight with him is not fun because he makes his real hard pat and they hurt. They be hard. So, honey, can you make soft snowballs
No,
this year?
it ain't a matter of making them soft or hard, because there's times when you can't even make a snowball because the snow is too
I'm
soft.
talking about if the snowball, you can make snowballs. Can you make them not so hard?
No, it ain't a matter of how hard a snowball is.
Yes, it is.
It's a matter of how hard they are coming at you. So if you're throwing them with full
can you
speed,
throw them softly at me?
You want me to throw them like that?
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you guys, we just wanted to come on and just encourage you today to not sweat the small stuff. Don't let the snowball get too big. Get it to a point, when it gets to a certain point, it's going to dissolve one way or the other. Let it be a positive dissolve.
And the snowball that you want to get big is that positive snowball effect.
That's right.
Let that get big. Don't let the negative one get big, and let the positive one get big. Right.
And so you saw in the feed, we mentioned to you guys to check out the #1 couples club, which is the In Love and Loving It Academy. Go to inloveandlovingitacademy.com. Just check it out. Just go click, type in the link, see what it's all about. And if you have some questions, reach out to us. But we want you to be a part of something positive. We're doing some positive things in that academy. We have some great things that we're doing, and we want you to be a part of it. If you know you have a good marriage, a great marriage, an outstanding marriage, and you want to have one, that's the place to be, because it's all about positivity and doing things to keep enriching our marriages and keeping them strong. All right. So God bless you guys. Thank you for joining us today. And remember,
if you build it,
it will last. God bless you guys.
We will see you next time.